You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, in Disney.
Well, there we have it. Hello, everyone, and welcome into a special program here on the Six Screens this Saturday night, November 26, 2022. We have two former Jehovah's Witnesses, Fran and Joe. They're out of New York, and they're doing a program tonight that really is something they wanted to talk to the audience about. It's about Jehovah's Witnesses committing suicide. And the number of Jehovah's Witnesses committing suicide is higher percentage-wise than most religions. And right now, there's some serious problems going on in the world with people committing suicide, not just Jehovah's Witnesses. But we'll talk about that as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Joe and Fran on, and they have a program prepared, and you guys will be able to talk to them tonight and call in. So let's bring them into the stream. Hello, Fran. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Rick. Thank you.
Hello.
So there we go. I think this is in fact, I know it's a very fascinating. It's not always fun to talk about it, but there's so many people that have been hurt by family members that have committed suicide. And what is the cause? What causes this? I'm sure you folks will be talking about that tonight. So I'm gonna cut you loose, and I'm gonna have that clip. I'm gonna get that ready for you guys. So give me a few minutes, and I'll get that up, and I'll have it ready when you guys want me to launch that for you. So you go ahead and talk to the audience tonight. We still have a good audience coming in. We're on about 10 different platforms. So you guys go ahead and do your thing, and I'm here if you need me.
Okay, thank you, Rick. And we'll wait for your cue for when the video's ready. As Rick said, that the topic of suicide is not a very happy topic at all, but unfortunately it touches so many people's lives. And in most cases, it's hidden. Now, there's some that know that someone suffers from tendencies like that. And generally, someone like that is generally, they're supported somehow. The family is aware of it. Maybe they're in some kind of protective situation. They know about it. There's measures taken to protect them against it. In prisons, they do that for sure. They put them on suicide watch because they don't want the person to commit suicide. Unfortunately, we don't have that as well. If we were in prison, we would be safer from that because of that, which is an interesting thought. So now we're going to have to do something to make up for that. And there are ways, there are things that we can do. Just this program here that we have, we're becoming aware of each other in ways that we never were, even through the Watchtower organization. We were aware of each other, but we probably avoided that because that wouldn't have looked so good. That would have shown a lack of faith. And we all know that witnesses don't like to say or do anything or let on that their faith is shaky. So, of course, they put on a very good act, unfortunately. But we are watching and caring for each other, and that's what we need to do. Fran and I have just this past week, a week ago, went through a training program, and in it, one of the topics was suicide, not just suicide. How did they call it exactly?
Understanding suicide and seeing the signs of depression.
Yeah, in other words, to become observant to it, to be aware of it, alert to it, because we're in a position where we can prevent it for each other, ourselves as well as the other person. And maybe we can just run through some of the points. And two, we welcome anyone to call in with any circumstances or observations or experience that they've had. We want to hear about that. We know we can all support each other with that, and we can learn from each other. But maybe we can at first just run through some of the things that they pointed out.
So usually it's some kind of abnormal behavior. Either the person's not eating, or they may say things like, I don't want to be here, I can't go on. They're looking themselves in if you ask them how they're doing, they may say, I'm fine. Or they may have feelings of hopelessness. They may feel burdensome to others, or that the world would be better off without them. They may be going through anxiety, agitation, or trouble sleeping. They may withdraw from friends, family, or regular activities. And we know in the Watchtower, when someone is disfellowshipped, they definitely are withdrawn from friends and family. Maybe it's from substance abuse. They could start acting reckless or engaging in risky activities. So at that point, if it looks like, they had this one little scenario where it was an aunt and her niece said, you can have my shoes. And they always had this thing about shoes because they loved their shoes, and they had so many shoes. And so the aunt thought that was kind of strange for the niece to be saying that. So she kind of questioned her on it. So we should not avoid asking the person. We should ask them, are you planning on hurting yourself, or are you planning on taking your life? And it's because there's that window of maybe like a 10-minute window where you can intervene in the person taking their life.
That was an interesting point there. So basically, anytime a person doesn't seem like themselves, we've all heard that before. So-and-so just doesn't seem like themselves lately. That's the time to wonder and worry. And the intervention that the aunt asked, she asked, are you thinking of hurting yourself? She asked it straight out. Are you thinking of hurting yourself? Which is, a very probing question. But that's what was needed. Because as Fran said, there's with any suicide attempts, usually there's the thought process first. And they said that there's a window, and I don't remember the time. They said it's 10. In other words, the person is going through this 10-minute drama in their mind and conflict. And if they get through the 10 minutes of it, they're safe again. But if they don't, if within that 10 minutes they act, that's when they attempt suicide. And if they're successful, they've committed suicide, and it's too late. But otherwise, if someone intervenes at that point, they prevented it. And maybe they help them get through a hurdle, and maybe they can get through easier next time. Maybe they can set up a circumstance of support for them. Like, why don't we do these things together? Why don't we, what are you doing? Is there something you're doing that's reminding you of this problem? Are you having a particularly difficult time with something? Money, maybe another person, maybe a problem that they have to overcome that they can't, and it's just putting added burden on them. It just means being involved in their lives and watching. It won't go away, but we can help it go away.
There's a myth that if you mention suicide to a person, that they'll commit it, but it's better that you mention to them, because you can intervene. It says 8 out of 10 people who kill themselves give a definite, I lost my paper now. They give some definite cue.
Clue?
Yeah.
Cues?
Yes. Yeah.
Signs?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
And then it said more than 70% of people who threaten to carry out a suicide either make an attempt or complete the act.
Yeah.
People who have attempted suicide are very likely to try again. 80% of people who die from suicide have made at least one previous attempt. And the highest rate of suicide occurs within 3 months of an apparent improvement in a severely depressed state. So you might see some improvement, but that doesn't mean that they're out of the woods. So you really have to keep an eye on them. But tonight we were going to talk more about the suicide within Jehovah's organization. And one other thing that I found, it says, in the organization, some commit suicide because they believe they could not live up to the high expectations in the organization. And one other thing, the response of these supposedly peace-loving Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't show empathy, or they don't have any sensitivity to someone when they do commit suicide. So it's a very, very dangerous thing, and we need to be alert to it.
Yeah, the empathy. Especially with our friends who are being shunned, disfellowshipped. Even if, let's say, they're not even disfellowshipped, they could still be being shunned, because the witnesses are so well trained that they'll take it upon themselves to shun somebody if they think they're what we've all heard as bad association. And they're going to put a person through the kind of stress that they can't even imagine. They can't. The relationships that we have, whatever relationships they are, either husband, wife, mother, father, children, parents, brother, sister, any relationships that they have, some of the simplest relationships, they all support a person in their will to live. Otherwise, they have no will to live. You can't take all a person's relationships away and expect, well, they'll figure something out. Everything, they've lost everything. There's such a delicate support system that people have. Some people, unfortunately, are very, very dependent on their relationships. And that's okay. They're that way. Some people are supporters more than in need of support. Some people are more in need of support than being able to give support. And we need to understand that and know that about each other. It's especially tragic when it comes to anything in high control organizations. And the Watchtower is a very high control organization, very high control. And that in itself is a support system for a person. Now, a person doesn't rely on themselves at that point. Many are actually take very seriously relying on everything that the organization offers. They take it very seriously. In fact, it could be said that they probably couldn't live without it. Which is very true in many cases. And on the other hand, there are other people, friends that we have known and know, that, they could do well in the organization. They could do well outside of the organization. They're more versatile like that. They're emotionally more mobile and able to make changes. And the ones we're concerned about are the ones that have made a very close relationship with the organization and never developed any self-determination or relying on themselves. Instead, they took very seriously the propaganda that the society wanted them to rely on them. So when they run afoul of the requirements and are disfellowshipped, they go through a total loss of meaning in their life.
So it really struck us. And we kept thinking about it, and we've been wanting to write our disassociation letter. So we really focused on the shunning aspect of it. And Joe said it's going to be more like an invitation.
Yeah.
For, how did you put it? Like for the elders and those
Everyone,
that read
anyone.
it. Because we're going to send this letter not just to the elders, but we're going to send it to agencies that deal with suicide.
Yeah.
Bullying.
Yeah.
So bullying can lead to suicide. So we spoke with someone in our area that is county, and she is concerned about the bullying, and she goes into the schools. So even though that Richard, what was the one that Rick was showing him earlier, the one with the puff, that Richard, even though
I can't remember.
Henderson, even though he said, oh, how they're trying to speak out against bullying, they are the ones that
They're
are
bullies.
bullying when they
It's
shun, and they
yeah.
tell people to shun.
Yeah.
And so it's really
flat out, it's spiritual bullying. Spiritual bullying. So as Fran was saying, and just want to interject this because I think it so relates, we've decided to go visible with caring for the needs of the friends who have been disfellowshipped, and or in any circumstance where their world is starting to fall apart, that they've been isolated, and we're going to go visible in being like a center for drawing them as we can. The letter that we wanted to write, call it disassociation letter, but I'm not going to mention dissociation in the letter because the letter is going to go to everyone that needs to know about the problem. Because the problem is all around everyone else. Everyone that we come across in our businesses, people come to us, we go to them. We ask them at the end of our doing business or whatever, we ask them, do you know any Jehovah's Witnesses? And then we're very quick to tell them we're not, just to settle them down. We're not going to
preach to you,
but rather to warn them. I said, this is a warning that if of what they might be going through if you know of any exes. And even if they don't know any, I says, well, if you come across any, ask them if they're aware of things that you might be aware of. Ask them if they're aware of the child sexual abuse, of cover-ups, if they're aware of shunning, if they're aware of the high rates of depression and suicide, if they're aware, because in all likelihood they're not. Yeah. And you're going to do a tremendous service in helping them to know something like that. You could help wake them up. And it opens up the eyes of a lot of the people because they never thought of it that way. They always thought of it, well, no, I'm not interested and I have nothing to do with them. I said, well, maybe you do. Maybe you do have something to do with them if you're so inclined, if you're concerned about them. So if we could just read the letter, it's 2-minute and 20-second read, so it won't be too painful. Dear friends, we're very thankful to the Watchtower Society for teaching our family God's direction for us and the hope we hold for our lives and that of our friends. However, when a member expresses any questions about Watchtower policy, teachings, or directives, the member is met with potential discipline and frequently resulting in what is termed as disfellowshipping. Immediately, all members are directed to shun them, that is, effectively cutting off all communication with them. They immediately lose all physical, social, psychological, and emotional support that is critical to their health and welfare. This organizational practice of spiritual bullying has no place in the Christian congregation, let alone in civilized society. In glaring contrast, love directs us to show the kind of love and attention that Jesus displayed when he was present, loving them, not shunning them. Maybe Frank can answer.
We are actively raising awareness of high rates of depression, suicide, and violence among our disfellowshipped and disassociated friends. They have been and are presently being shunned by all congregation members, including friends and family. We invite you to join us in displaying true friendship and raising awareness of this present human rights crisis. We are finding much support in our community for the need to end this inhumane, destructive religious practice. Tragically, shunning produces victims. Therefore, the Christian principled practice of extending love and active support to those affected is what we are promoting. We invite you to share in the joy this produces for all. Until the Watchtower Society makes the required changes, we are completely removing ourselves from any involvement in it. Our focus is on showing the needed love and care for all our friends. We invite all to share in this and to put an end to shunning immediately. Sincerely, Joe and Fran.
It's something all of us are in a position to do. Rather than being victims, we become people who can actually serve to prevent victims from the bullying. It's spiritual bullying, and now is a time for so many to make it vocal, because it's a worldwide concern now, of this bullying as well as the shunning. It's time when more people are speaking about it and more people are listening. It's something all of us can share. We call it unwitnessing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something we were taught to do, only thing the other way around.
Yep.
So you'll feel good doing it, in fact.
Mm-hmm. Maybe if Rick has that video. Rick, are you able to show the video?
Well, maybe
It's a 3-minute. It's a 3-minute video put out by Christy Ann. Maybe a lot of you have seen it.
Yeah, well,
but it's on suicide. When you're able,
when
Rick.
Rick's ready, I'm sure he will. Now, did you have anything here?
Yeah. So Rick sent us 2 experiences of suicide in the Watchtower. Maybe some of you are familiar with this. You want me to read?
Yeah, you can. And we'd like to, for anyone to, if they have any situations or experiences, to call in and share them with us too.
Yeah, we want to leave the lines open. We're not going to be continuing to talk. We want to hear from you.
This is your show.
Okay. Oops, it looks like.
Okay. Is this for us to play? No,
You're in the show.
I think we're waiting for something to happen with the video. Not in our control, I don't think. For anyone who is not aware of it, YouTube is loaded with ex-witnesses and even friends and people who are never witnesses, who feel very kindly toward witnesses for the problems that they're in. So we're very, very thankful that there's this kind of attention that's being given to this now. And anything that we can do is going to be helpful as well. There's so many things we can do in our own area to help people be aware.
Would anyone like to say anything or call in? Any experiences? I know we spoke with Thomas during the week.
And I think Gail was too.
Yep,
yeah.
Gail.
I'm sure there's there's numbers that are associated with the rates of depression and suicide among uh, uh, Jehovah's people or ex-witnesses. We don't have them.
Yep, they're not hearing us.
Okay, okay, we got
I'm
the
gonna
lines
go back
open. Do you guys hear all right now?
Yes, we can.
We hear.
Okay, so we do have some
Pretty
lines
great.
open here. Did you want to play the clip first? You want to take some calls first?
The clip.
Okay, let's play the clip. Then we have a number of people who want to talk to you. So yeah, we just had a little snafu there, but we're all set to go now. So let's
Thank you.
play the clip for you, and we'll get that up so you'll be able to talk about that clip. It's a great video that Christy Ann did.
Yes.
Let's see if we can't share that screen, and let's get it up here right now. Right there. Let's do this. Okay, here we go.
But it's a big problem among Jehovah's Witnesses and needs to be spoken about. And people need help with this. Today's subject is, why do Jehovah's Witnesses have a suicide rate far exceeding that of the general public? If you are a Jehovah's Witness or anyone contemplating suicide, please talk to someone. There are 2 numbers posted, suicide hotlines. There are people here who will help you and they want to talk to you. If you are a Jehovah's Witness, it is most likely you know someone who has committed suicide. Probably someone in your own congregation. When I was a Jehovah's Witness, 3 of my friends committed suicide. Today we're going to look at what causes our members to commit suicide and how we can help prevent this. We're going to go over some thoughts and feelings you might be having as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Remember, you are not alone.
I'm worried that I won't make it to Armageddon in good standing with the organization. Suicide will keep me from the embarrassment and the pain associated with being shunned by my closest friends and family. If this organization is wrong, then I'd rather die. I've spent my entire life there. I'd rather die than lose everything I've ever known. If I lose favor with the congregation, then I will be killed in Armageddon with the rest of the non-witnesses.
These thoughts can be overwhelming, and a lot of witnesses are feeling the same way you are right now, but you are not alone. Watchtower has taught you that upon death, your record of sin is wiped clean. Yet for those who survived Armageddon, they will be judged by their deeds and faithfulness to the organization. It appears that in dying, one is better off than alive. I can assure you the organization has not died for you, and this organization cannot save you no matter what it is that they are claiming. This is Jesus speaking to you. Most truly I say to you, he that hears my word and believes him that sent me has everlasting life, and he does not come into judgment, but has passed over from death to life. It's time to wake up and start trusting in the word of God rather than the word of men. I promise you, they cannot save you. Please, before it's too late.
Thanks, Rick.
Did you want to say something, Joe and Fran?
Oh, no, thank you, Rick, for that.
All right, well, you're very welcome. So that was good. Chrissy, you did a really good job on that video.
Yeah.
So that was good. So should we have some people come in that want to talk to you?
Fran and Jill.
Yes.
Fran and Jill.
Hello.
Go ahead.
I'm calling from Southwest Florida, and I wanted to talk to you and thank you for bringing out the suicide thing going on. I knew a couple of people from where I live, from where I used to know a couple of witnesses who committed suicide from where I live, one in Benita Springs and another where I live in Cape Coral. I just wanted to say that Florida is very, very notorious for mental health funding and suicide rates. And I want to tell you, thank you, Joe and Fran. I knew of a person, I knew two sisters whose father and husband committed suicide in Benita, and they were interviewed at the Assembly Hall in West Palm Beach because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your name?
Just call me Guy.
Yes. I'm not looking for your whole name, Guy. Guy, we all need someone we can talk with, and someone who understands the problems that we have, and there are many more like that. The number that they showed on
I too have had thoughts of suicide and feeling unworthy in Jehovah's organization throughout my whole life. I've even had tendencies where I did something really bad that I wanted to end my own life from my youth on. And I want to say thank you again.
You're welcome.
Guy, we just want
for the outreach.
We just want to let you know that we love you, even though we don't know you, and our thoughts are so always.
I'll email.
Okay.
Good.
I'll email you later on.
Okay.
I'll
Yes,
tell
please
you
do.
a bit more about myself that way.
And there are friends around you that you don't even know yet. If you look for them, you will find them.
I hope so.
You will.
You will, Guy. Thank you for calling in.
Yes. Keep listening.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, my name is Jeff Beal. A dear friend of mine, Michael Moore, last spring committed suicide in Tennessee from shunning.
Yes, I remember now. It was tragic.
He was a friend of yours?
Yeah, it is tragic. He was a dear friend of mine, and it's all because of this nasty cult. And I'm not afraid to give my name or his name.
Yeah.
Blame me for it, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's all that Watchtower, that nasty cult, that local kingdom, all that he went to, all the way at the governing body. They are responsible for his death.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say, folks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Jeff Beal. B-U-E-L-T is my last name.
B-U-E-L-T?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. It's Jeffrey, Jefffery.
Okay.
And I praise Rick Thurn for having this program.
Oh, yeah.
And you folks too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, we'll get in touch with you.
Yeah, please do. Catch me on Messenger.
Okay.
Okay, Messenger.
Thank
We
you.
will.
Will do.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, this is Thomas Hawson from Lawrence, Kansas. I talked to you just the other day.
Hello,
Yes,
Thomas.
hi, good to hear you.
It's really my pleasure. Yeah, it's really my pleasure to be able to get to speak out a little bit more about what we talked about concerning this terrible shunning policy.
Yeah.
You know, I was really sad about that Michael Moore.
Yeah.
You know, all he wanted to do, he just wanted to keep his family.
I know.
Michael Moore was faced with a consequence. His wife finally told him that she was going to get a divorce, and he'd never see those kids again. It wasn't long after that, Michael went out from his job out by the highway, took a gun, and just shot himself to death. And what was really, really bad besides that was how the whole JW community around there wouldn't hardly talk to anybody about it at all. We had some former Jehovah's Witnesses were asked around about it, and they just kind of shut their mouths up. It's just amazing they were able to get a little bit of thoughts about it, but most of the people in that area just wouldn't hardly say a word. See, that's how the Watchtower tells them to react to those kind of things, because they don't want that information out, but it's getting out there, and there's no way we can stop it. Yeah, where I came from years ago, back in Emporia, Kansas, it's about 75 miles out west here. There were 3 suicides that all happened within about a year and a half to 2 year span. And one of the guys that was never disfellowshipped, he just had a very difficult time financially, and he just felt like he couldn't live up to the Watchtower, and he got real depressed. And he actually let carbon monoxide poisoning kill him from the back of his truck when he put a gunny sack over his head. And I want to know the situation. I talked to the sheriff's department. He said it was an actual definite suicide. He told me that was back before they had privacy laws, back in the late 80s. But he said it was a definite suicide. There was no question about it. And the elders, they wouldn't say one word about it over the platform. There was no funeral. There was nothing said in the congregation. It was very sad, very, very cold, very unloving the way they handled it. And the family quit going to the Kingdom Hall after that. They just finally threw the towel and never went back anymore. And another guy committed suicide. His name was Gene Moore, and he was a bachelor, and he was kind of an older gentleman. And he just never kept his house that clean. They kept badgering him about getting that place cleaned up. They thought it was a pigsty, you know. They didn't feel real bad. He finally just committed suicide. And then another guy, Eugene Johnson, he had a real rough marriage with this Jehovah's Witness lady. And I don't know, they had a lot of problems. They ended up separating. I think they finally divorced. And then he just committed suicide. They were giving him a hard time about marijuana and stuff like that, and he couldn't take it no more. And that was a real shock. And I have a cousin. His name is Mark Lesson. In fact, I went and saw him this afternoon for this program. And he's in a nursing home thanks to Jehovah's Witnesses. And they put a lot of pressure on him in 1991. A year or so after they disfellowshipped him, he tried to commit suicide. He really did. He took a .22 cap pistol to his head and lodged a bullet inside his brain, and they can't take it out for fear it'll make it worse on him. And he's just not quite right mentally because of it. He hasn't been able to work all these years because of these crazy, insane policies of the Watchtower Society. But I mean, we could just go on and on. It just seems like everybody you talk to knows of somebody that's been affected adversely by the Watchtower. They tried to commit suicide, or they did commit suicide, or their marriage was broken up, a lot of divorces, just go on and on. It's so far from being Christianity, it's not even funny. But I'm really glad you guys brought this out tonight. It's something that really needs to be talked about.
Yes, Thomas, I totally agree with you. It needs to be talked about, and otherwise, it's a conspiracy of silence that keeps all of this going. And everything points to the fact that we need to discuss it. It needs to be. It needs to be not only discussed, but to make other people aware of it. Otherwise,
right?
Otherwise, we're no good for ourselves. Mm-hmm. See, if we put ourselves in a position, which most of us did, we put our lives in the hands of Watchtower, and we thought that was the best place to put our lives. Well, it's not. And we can talk on and on and on how bad they are for us, but that won't help a bit. And now's the time for us personally, we have to personally do something about it. We have to help each other with it, and have to make new arrangements for ourselves, new thoughts. I mean, the thing that we've heard over and over again is this thing of worthy. or being not worthy. No one can tell us that. If they tell us that, we have no right to listen to them. We have worth. And if anyone's telling you otherwise, you don't need to listen to them at all. In fact, you need to get away from them. But many people don't even understand the damage that they're doing by the way they talk. They have no idea. In fact, I dare say most of the people who we came across in the Watchtower organization were taught to do something that was more dangerous than they ever understood. In other words, with the type of thought control and the ideas and the propaganda, we know now it leads to this. It leads to depression. It leads to,
that's exactly it, sir, because they have put ideas into the minds of the members.
yeah, very much so. Very much so. Well,
have you seen the material on that? Many years ago, Jerry Berglund wrote a book that talked about an entire ward of paranoid schizophrenics that were all Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the 1970s, I lost a dear friend who was a stellar pioneer. He had a narcotics problem, but no support group because, as we mentioned earlier, they don't support the 12-step notions. And I remember distinctly in the 1970s them having information from the platform that said something to the effect of, if you leave this group, your life will be a wreck, you'll be a wreck, you'll want to commit suicide, you'll be bankrupt. And what they were doing was putting suggestions into the minds of the members that if they left, their life would be ruined. And I remember they're saying, my life will be a success when I finally get out of here. And it was.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. No, and just as you mentioned, basically they groomed young people for being exposed to and being accessible to pedophilia. They actually groomed them. Well, the same grooming has been taking place with every one of us who sat in front of that platform and listened to them. They're grooming people to be dependent on them and to be vulnerable and, frankly, to weaken us and to take our humanity away from us.
To take the human will away from us, but this was actually a kind of neuro-linguistic programming from the platform that put into the minds of the large audience that if they left, their life would be a disaster.
Yes. Well, I mean, they're classic narcissists that are just seeking the control, and they are.
Yeah, it was than that. It's actually a thought-stopping technique of neuro-linguistic programming, because in the decades after that, I looked into some of this stuff because I thought, oh, it couldn't be that. That's too far-fetched. That's like something out of a crazy movie. But I've got sources that's how these people were. That's the techniques that they were using. So it's really, really dangerous. And then some of these cases, there was one where the sister killed her whole family and all of her children.
Yes.
And we have that.
Yes.
We were going to read that at some point.
Okay. It's very sad, but it's true. It's true.
And see, I agree with you for us to say, well, I don't think they know what they're doing. And it would be a mistake.
Oh, they do. They clearly do.
Yeah, it would be a mistake to think that, because the way you get away with something is by doing something that's so shocking that people in general just simply won't believe it. They won't believe it. And if you don't believe something, you don't form a defense or reaction against it. That's exactly what's been happening. We're at a point where we need to form reactions. We need to take up these offensive reactions.
And that's why they don't want their people to have any education, because they have, like we talked tonight, addiction is a medical problem. Obesity is a medical problem. Mental health, it's a medical problem. When a person shuns you, you can sue them locally. That's a legal problem. When your mind is being tampered with from the podium, that's someone using a psychological trick that's based in, again, science, and using science in an evil way. But they've got their people so dumbed down, it's much worse than I thought it was as a kid. The older I get and the more I look back, realize what happened, no wonder I felt so betrayed, and I know we all do.
It's massively worse. It's massively worse. And the longer it takes for us as individuals to do something about it, the more the effect it's going to have on us.
Yes.
Fortunately, we have each other. We have stories from each other. We also need to learn from each other, and to take on, the healthier thoughts, healthier ideas.
That could be another topic for another.
Also, extorting money from the older members. That is a crime, pure and simple. And I wish there was some way that could be addressed legally.
Yeah, well, see, the Watchtower lawyers are unfortunately capable at what they're doing.
I think someone's trying to call in.
Thank you for your comment.
Hi, I really am just admiring so much what you're saying, but I'd like to know what I can do. I want to do something, because this is something that just touches my heart, especially when it touches young people. And I was wondering, if I wanted to put something in the newspaper, or to be a little more proactive, do you have information that you could give to people, that we could use it as a springboard for what we might put in the newspaper?
That's a good question. It really is. I'm asking that question myself too. Frankly, I don't read the newspaper much, and that's one of the problems. Not many people read.
I was thinking more of the newspaper online, the online newspaper.
Gotcha.
Because there's a lot of you could do that too. But if the Watchtower is putting puff pieces in, why can't we?
That's
yes,
right.
no,
they're good. They're for
and
people
this is
good.
good. We can do it in our own way. Look, if the Watchtower taught us to witness, well, again, what we do is unwitness, and that is to just basically red pill people about the Watchtower. Let them know that even if they say, well, we're not interested, I say, well, I understand you're not interested. We're not trying to get you interested. We're trying to warn you. We're trying to warn you against it, against the lies that they put forth, and against the depression and the suicides that they're responsible for. We're trying to warn you. And I even tell people, you probably have people, maybe your friends, right around you who are being affected, and you don't know it. You may very well have that. In fact, we found that with several different ones in talking with strangers and finding out that they know people that we know, and there were witnesses, and there were stories behind that.
We just mention it to everyone we come across, but it's Susan, right? Susan, that's you, right?
Yes. Yes.
One thing that we did was to, like on a local level, our local assemblyman, we've got him involved, and he is, a matter of fact, we sent him some of Rick's clips, and he wanted to know who Barbara Anderson is. He knows all about shunning, so we're keeping him abreast of that. Also, we got in touch with our local county, on anyone that does suicide prevention. Anyone like that, you can write to them, you can call them, make them aware of what witnesses, the policy that the Jehovah's Witnesses do, because they are not aware of it. They're shocked.
Look, there's different things. at so many points. One of them is this: if for many of us, going door to door and witnessing was one of the worst things that we ever did, and we didn't enjoy it terribly much, the opposite, unwitnessing, is very interesting. It is, because now what you're doing, you're basically warning people of something that they weren't aware of. And in most cases, it's eye-opening. It's a totally different experience, unwitnessing. So I'm gonna encourage everyone to do that, because we were taught to do this. So we might as well at least take advantage of the skills and the abilities that we were trained to do.
Yeah, letter writing. Where witnesses are known for letter writing. You can write a letter to anyone who is affiliated.
See, anyone and
like
everyone
that.
is fair game to know this, because everyone is, in one way or another, comes into contact with Jehovah's Witnesses, or they will, either way. It's very interesting, because everyone's wide open. Hello?
Yes, sir. I was going to say that, when they had the protest up in Warwick, WATCHTOWER witnesses were going door to door in Warwick, the town, and just telling them what this organization does. Shunning, the after effects as far as suicide, what have you. But I would like to see a national effort on XJWs to go door to door and just explain what this organization is about, what they do, the shunning, the suicides, the blood doctrine, and explain that to them. I think it would be more receptive than witnesses going door to door and preaching the Watchtower religion. Just and make a national effort for XJWs. We're getting to where we outnumber them. If we don't outnumber them now, it's pretty darn close. Just tell the truth about the truth. There you go.
Well, I appreciate your comment, but what I'm going to offer is that you don't underestimate your local influence. You see, some of us might be suffering from a savior complex, where we're waiting for a savior to come along and to do this national thing and just wave their savior wand and come to our rescue. It's not going to happen. It's not. But sir,
it wouldn't be for everybody. It took me years to get to where I am now to say this.
Yes.
10 years ago, I couldn't have told you this. It takes people that have had time to research and think and do critical thinking to get to the point that I have gotten to. I couldn't have made all the comments on Rick's show, and Rick probably thinks I'm crazy. He's a great guy. He probably, wow, this guy comments a lot. Well, it took me years to get to where I could do that.
Well, and that's something that you and all of us have the more power than we even realize. The only thing that holds us back is fear, and the time that it takes to do it. It takes time. It takes time. The sooner we get at it.
You got to figure when you went out in service, you would, there was witnesses that would spend an hour or a couple hours and what have you. But it's a cult. This is a cult in everybody's neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I just would like to, I would like to all these communities need to know about that.
I agree.
There's
I
a lot of
agree.
people don't know that they're a cult.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yeah. See, I'm not going to be able to do it in
Gators
your
cult.
community. I'm not going to be able to do it in your community, and you're not going to be able to do it in mine. But I can at least do it.
Exactly.
But I can do it in mine.
We're so glad you called
Yes.
in,
Yes.
too.
Keep at it.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Keep talking out.
That's right.
Hello, Uncle Joe and Auntie Fran. This is Apostate.
Hello.
I was calling. Hello.
Hello.
I was calling to ask if you are aware that if a suicide attempt happens, that that's a disfellowshipping offense.
Yeah.
Are you aware of that?
Aware of that.
I think I heard of that. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So when someone does a suicide attempt and it fails, which is wonderful, because then they put you into, they get you help, okay? You get put in 450, 150 or whatever it's called today, and then they have somebody watching you for 24 or however many hours. What I've heard is elders will try to come in and talk to them. And of course, they seem like, clergy is showing up to encourage them.
No.
What they're wanting to find out is if they attempted, to get information to disfellowship them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once someone is disfellowshipped, it's literally put into the minds of Jehovah's Witnesses that they are spiritually dead.
I know.
That Jehovah doesn't acknowledge them, like
No.
he doesn't even. So when they're ignored and shunned, it's as though they are dead.
I know.
That's right.
Physically.
I know.
So this is incredibly horrifying. Not to mention, if someone does commit suicide, they don't get to have their funeral at the Kingdom Hall.
Mm-mm.
That was it. I'm done now.
No, no, I appreciate you bringing that. The sooner we realize that, number one, it's not a religion. Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses is not a religion, number one. It's just not. It's a fraud. It's a corporation.
I agree.
It's government backed. Number two, it's working at the government agenda. The government doesn't love us. Watchtower doesn't love us. Anything they do is going to not draw us closer to God. If anything, see, their goal, and they're not stating it, is really to make sure that people don't get close to God. They're making sure of that. They make sure of that in the way that they present Jesus Christ. They make sure that people don't put faith in him. They make sure that people don't love each other. So the sooner we turn our minds around and deconstruct it, they call it just to have to deconstruct the way our brain thinks, we'll know what to do. And we have to do something. Ever since we started leaving this organization, I was either gripped with either sadness or anger or fear or loss or grief or all of those things all at once, until I realized,
very normal. That's very normal.
We've got things to do. We have things to do, and we don't have any time to waste, especially if we're getting older. We have less time to waste.
Apostate, you made me think of something when you mentioned about at the funeral. A while back, there was a sister whose son committed suicide, but he wasn't baptized, and they didn't want to have anything at the Kingdom Hall, and they didn't give all the information. And so at the funeral home, I don't think there were any elders present, and if there were, nobody was going to give, any kind of eulogy. But the mother, she stood up and talked about her son, and she talked about all his good qualities. One day I was in service with her, and she told me the story, and she said that he had been sexually abused, and that she was positive that led to his suicide. So here's another case against, you know, we haven't talked about it, but the child abuse leading to suicide. So there's so many things.
Very, very common. And
around.
the victims are told to never speak of it to anyone.
Yeah. And it just broke the mother's heart, you know. It's like,
Well, we had another sister that wanted to dial in. Go ahead, sister. You're on with us. Go
Thanks,
ahead.
Apostle.
You're on 6 screens. Yep.
Thank you, Uncle Fran and Auntie.
Nice to hear you. Bye now.
Hello,
hello.
Hello.
my name is Robin. Hi. And
Robin.
I just wanted to tell you my experience. Okay. My sister, she wasn't a witness, but she committed suicide. And actually, I was studying with her. This was 2013. I was in a foreign language group, but I was studying with her, and she took her life. So the points that I wanted to bring out was how it affects family members. So we know that witnesses are taking their lives, and that's, you know, terrible, but it's also the way it affects the family. Is there's a lot of times that the family members end up committing suicide also. Yes. And there was years ago, I was working with a woman that committed suicide, and this was at a big hospital out here in California. And the hospital got mental health consultants to talk to all of the workers in our department. And they stuck around for about a month, and just being there, just, you know, so that everyone could see them, you know. So that's the effect that suicide has on, you know, of course, the person that feels that they have to give up, but everyone who is left behind. Yeah. And the Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't care about this at all.
No.
When my sister committed suicide, I was extremely depressed. I felt like I've never felt so bad.
I can't imagine.
And okay, I'm going to try to say this without crying.
No,
it's
you can
okay.
cry.
You do what you have
cry.
to.
I'm so sorry.
I finally, after about 3 months, I mean, I stopped going to the meetings because that's when I really realized how much they talk about death and Satan. Yes. I just couldn't stand it, so I couldn't go. But I called the elder of my group, and I called 2 different times, and I left him a message. And I told him that I felt that I really needed a shepherding call, and I needed prayer. And he never returned my call. No. And that was one of the things that really woke me up about how cruel and heartless this organization is. Yes. My daughter is shunning me, not because I'm disfellowshipped, but because she took it upon herself to mark me because of things that I said, bringing out how they're misleading people and the sex abuse. So I wanted to share that finally, I mean, during the shutdown, I was watching a religious channel on YouTube, and they invited people to call. So I called. I had never done that before, but I called. Yes. And I hadn't been, connected with witnesses for maybe since 2016 when I first learned about what happened in Australia. Uh-huh. But I called this religion, and a minister answered, and I was telling him that I used to be a Jehovah's Witness, and I was just exploring different religions. And I was telling him that I was learning this foreign language, and he asked me why I chose that language and why I stopped. I told him that I had stopped, and he asked me why, and I told him that my sister committed suicide, and I just wasn't, my mind, I just couldn't function for a while after that.
Yeah.
And he said, "Let me pray with you." That was the first thing that he said. "Let me pray with you."
Oh, that's beautiful.
And when this happened, no elder called me. They didn't pray with me, you know, and so I suspected I was already marked because I had questions, and I asked my elder about these different questions I had. So I have a feeling that I was marked. I didn't know it though. But I really want to express my appreciation for you talking about this. It's a very difficult thing to talk about. And if you have an email, I would like to reach out to you, and maybe I could help people in my area. Because my heart goes out to Jehovah's Witnesses for real.
Through Rick. If you go to Rick will get it to you, because we can stay connected that way then.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Yes, I will.
Because we'd like to stay connected.
Thank you for listening.
And Robin, I've got to tell you, the strength and the courage that you've shown now is going to help you go further in helping others who are going through the same difficulty.
Yeah,
you're going to help. You're going to help more people. You're going to help more people now that you've left the organization than you ever did in it. You will help a tremendous amount of people.
Yes.
Thank you.
So
thank you,
that's
Rob.
what I want to do, and I thank you for your encouragement.
Yes,
I'm
and
going to hang up
we'll talk again.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you.
My heart goes out to this sweet lady, and you know, that's Watchtower. They're very cold-hearted. They don't care about anything, and you know, as far as family tragedies and suicides and everything else, and they're just they're cold-hearted. It's cold-hearted organization. So that's all I got to say.
Well, you know, there's a clue there in the opposites. If they're cold-hearted, all the more we need to express that kind of warmth toward whoever is out, or even ones that are in that we might know.
Yes, sir.
Because they're going to need it.
That's right.
The ones that are in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
I'm sorry, this is my first time calling.
Oh,
well,
I've
thank you
been there for a
calling.
while now,
wow.
Thank you.
Well, we're
but
listening.
this is a subject that was really important to me too, and I appreciate you bringing it up to everyone. I have some personal dealings with that because I'm fourth generation, so very, very deep. My family's very deep into it.
Yes.
I'm the only person of my entire family, aunts, uncles, cousins, sisters, but everybody is very deep into this religion.
Wow.
And I am the only one that found my way out. But before that happened, and I was just really feeling like this wasn't the right thing for me, that it wasn't the truth. I found all sorts of stuff that, you know, I felt really, really uncomfortable with the organization, and we all know what those things are. But when my family decided to shun me because of my questioning and because I was bringing these things up, I lost everyone. I lost my entire family. Like, everybody just quit talking to me and quit inviting me to family reunions, and they won't even come to my home. But I did go through a time period, and this was a few years ago though, where I just felt like, well, I don't have anything to live for. I don't have anyone anymore because, of course, I didn't have any worldly friends because I wasn't allowed to. And, you know, if no one loves me and wants to be near me, why am I even here? And it is a struggle for people like me that find their way out and then find that they're very, very lonely.
Yes.
And it's very scary to be in the world all by yourself.
I have to say,
So
dear friend,
go ahead.
I have to tell you that of all the people that you viewed as friends, they're not the friends. The friends are all around you. And as the faster all of us change our mind over to that the friends are all around us. And we're going to make them as fast as we find them.
Well, my question is, and I don't know if you have an answer for it, but I would love to figure out a way of finding other people like me. And I know there are groups on Facebook and stuff like that. I live in a pretty small town, so it's kind of few and far between, but I just feel like it's part of my duty as somebody who actually got through all of this and onto the other side and didn't take my life, because I know there are plenty of people who feel like me. And I would love to be, of assistance. Is there anything that I can do?
Yeah, we went through the same thing.
You will find people just like you if you show who you are. It will draw others to you.
You know, Facebook is a great place to start. You can look up, there's so many different XJW Facebook. They may not be in your area, but even if you start communicating with them, it's interesting. I did that and we found at least 5 people now that we know within a radius of an hour that we didn't know that they were XJWs.
And of course, that's Facebook and any other social type of situations that you have. It could be church, it could be clubs, it could be where you work, it could be places that you never have been before because you were a witness before, but now that you're not a witness, now you have other situations that you're going to be involved in. It's all discovery.
I keep feeling like there's always a reason for things that I go through in my life, and I feel like, I do have some knowledge and hope for people who have gone through similar things, and I just want to spread that love and that hope to whoever might be feeling like they have no one.
And you're going
Hi, love and hope.
Yeah. Look, you're good.
Hi, my name is Angela. I would love to be your friend, and I am just like you, completely, entirely, 100% alone. But we're not alone spiritually, only in the flesh. And so I'd love to be friends with you. You can find me on Twitter. I'm Ange. It's short for Angela. And so we can work this out. You're not going to be alone anymore. I would love to have a Zoom call. We can have drinks. If you're a Christian, we can do bread and wine, and we'll get together sometime. I'm sure.
I hear a friend out there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you for being love and hope. I love your alias.
And you're Ange on Twitter.
Sorry, I think maybe Ange on Twitter, and it's Angela Glass. You can pretty much find me anywhere. You can go to about.me/Angela.
And the last name is Glass?
Yeah, like a glass of water.
Perfect. All right. My name is Teresa, so I will definitely be finding you out there. I don't want to take up all the time, but thank you so much. You guys have been wonderful, and you're doing an amazing work out there, and I really appreciate you guys for just giving us a place to go.
Well, thank you too for being beautiful.
All right. Have a great night. Thank you.
You too.
This is what Rick's show is all about, is connecting people. And it's really super that we can do this all together because we are your friends. This is your new set of friends.
I agree. Thank you both for coming on and doing this call. There's a brother on the chat who would love to tell the story of his family member and isn't able to call in. So I know that there's need for this again. And I'm calling, I'm calling actually just because of the sister who made me feel like, just like me. And then she even sounded like me, I thought. It's the same voice or something. But now as I start to stutter, having my own nervousness myself, I'm calling about my friend Michael Wayne Moore. He was born and raised in the congregation Barbara Anderson lived.
Wow.
And so I was wondering what y'all felt about the fact that the Watchtower has gotten away with. He was doing the video and sharing the tragic story of the shunning and the bullying, the emotional violence and harassment, even the one elder who was sexually after his wife, encouraging her to leave him and to bust up that family, because he was looking for a wife. He was also on the elder body with the elders who molested him as a child. And so it's very vindictive and evil, of course. But the thing that bothers my conscience the most is I can't get over the coincidence of his name and the director of documentaries, Michael Moore.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering how you felt about the fact that Michael wore his school badge in that video. Was he trying to send us a message between how he killed himself and killing himself at the school he worked and wearing the school badge in the very last video that we have of him? And do we stay silent about this? Because I keep having effectively day nightmares. In the middle of the day, I think of Michael Moore because of politics. And then I think of Michael Moore Hours or Barbara Anderson's Michael Moore.
Hey, I just got to butt in for a moment. I'll verify this woman's story.
Jeff, hold on one second. Well, let Mike and let Joe and Fran answer first, okay?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
hold
sorry.
on. Let's let them in.
I'm doing a lot of listening right now.
I don't have any thoughts on that yet.
No, I'm doing a lot of listening.
Well, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead, speak up.
I can offer one.
Well, everything this woman is saying is true. So that's all I got to say. He was a personal friend of mine. But
is that Jeff?
Yes, ma'am. It is Jeff.
Thank you. I support you. Please continue.
Oh, I support you too, ma'am. Thank you. Everything you're saying is very true. So he told me everything you're saying. So up till he died.
There's a delay. I'm sorry to be slow responding. Jeff, how do you feel? What is it that he was looking for from us? I know that there's one camp that is concerned with his daughter having a good memory, but he wasn't trying to protect that memory. So it feels disingenuous to his very life. And of course, there's nothing that can separate us from the love of Christ and God. So there's no separation there. But I feel very conflicted to be in such a spot where we could do something. And I feel like the worst is that it feels like he sacrificed himself for that purpose. It's a horrible thought.
He was looking for peace, and I got one of the last messages from him. He said, "Pray for me." Within 8 days, he committed suicide. I feel guilty about it. I feel like
you shouldn't.
Well,
we are very happy that you did those videos and that you were one of the most loving persons and you were connected to him for at least that entire year. So thank you for your love. Thank you very, very, very much for your love.
He's gone now, though. It's because of that nasty cult. And I just, they are so dangerous. I just cannot emphasize enough how dangerous this cult is. It's if people just don't get it, there's a lot of people don't know about it. They got a cult right in their neighborhood. Kingdom Hall. And that's why I believe there should be a national effort. We need to get out like they do and go door to door and explain to people that this is a nasty, dangerous cult. You know, and they're in everybody's neighborhood. There's enough Kingdom Halls left that they're in everybody's neighborhood. And, you know, that's how I feel about it. But I love Michael. It tears me apart. He took his own life. I was just shocked. I started crying and everything else when I heard about it. And it's all because of this nasty cult. And the elders from that Kingdom Hall are as guilty all the way up to the governing body.
Amen. Let them have millstones. He may not be a child anymore, but wait a minute. We were all children. He was raped as a child by that elder. So every one of them that stumbles him, there's a millstone for them. We're going to carry the millstones, right? I'm sorry, I'm misquoting scripture. I believe actually what it says is that it would be better for them to have millstones put around their necks and to be thrown into the abyss than what they've done. Is that true?
I can understand that you're a woman and he told you about that part of it. I didn't know, but I believe it. He was, you know, Michael was not a liar.
Where did you get
that? He told the truth on everything, you know, but he didn't tell me that because I'm a male, you know. I mean, I could see where he would be embarrassed and he would tell a female that he's close to, like you, about that. But he told me what they were doing. They pulled his family away. They're shunning him. And that's why he took his own life. You know, so.
See, what this conversation.
Look, messenger, ma'am.
I will try to look for you, yes. And I want to say thank you because as a person who's felt like that darkness myself, I feel like everyone here has heard that we're very well loved. And so that there's no need for this to be our story because there's a very, you know, for all the thinking that we're due of this darkness and suicide concept, there's a Jeff and an Angela and the love and hope out there. So thank you for embracing the story. I know that you've never been a Jehovah's Witness. So
no, I wasn't. I went out of service. I studied. I went to meetings for almost 4 years, and my area. I'll make it real fast. My area, even the circuit overseer said it's got a problem growing, and it was in the late 80s. And they told me they finally. I held off from getting baptized, and they finally told me, you got to make a decision. One of the head elders, or what, you know, that's what I would call him. And I knew all my family would die at Armageddon. I said, well, I'm out. And yeah, that was a pretty dark day because I thought I was a dead man. And that was 1990. I believed in the generation prediction. And anyway, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I was fully indoctrinated. They said, you know the truth and you'll die at Armageddon because you know the truth. If you die before Armageddon, they said I wouldn't be resurrected. It scared the hell out of me. I was in my 20s.
I just had that nightmare last night. Last night, I had that same old nightmare of thinking I'm not good enough in the middle, like just about to fall asleep into the darkest sleep and crying out, like, no, like not even a cry, but you know, you're trying to resist this darkness. And that is nothing of how I feel. It's just a very deep-seated seed from when I was 12 years old. And, you know, so night and day, shall we say, all day long, I'm a happy, personable self. But if you get into that really, really sleepy, I just happen to lack some sleep, or if someone's persecuting you, like the people on the chat who are being awful while we're trying to talk about suicide, then also, you know, you kind of get a little triggered and you go to bed because they've been telling us that we aren't examples of the fruit of the Spirit. And so people like that are actually on this channel right now chatting and causing people to see lack of love and want to put a gun to their head. And it's not appropriate. But I think you're right, Jeff. I think we should do something nationwide, and we'll do it worldwide, and we'll make sure that Michael's story does not go down as just one that's forgotten.
Hey, just remember, it's a big corporation disguised as a nasty cult. Well, they are. It's all about money. And look behind the scenes. You know, they get especially when people die, all the churches, well, not Kingdom Halls, but churches, they get a lot of money from people that they give their life savings, they give farms, they give houses and everything else, you know, to get their salvation. And anyway, that's all I got to say. Thank you.
I appreciate, look, the conversation that you two are having is only going to serve to push us further forward faster in doing everything that we plan to do here. So I truly appreciate this. See, we're not going to let Michael or any of the other friends' life go unanswered. Mm-hmm. We're here because we love them. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. We have plans just to do what we can do in our area. Where that goes, we can't say. But all I know is we are going to do everything that we can.
May I offer another story that concerns me, Barbara Anderson? I think there's a delay. I can see that there's talking on the TV, but I don't hear. So I'm sorry if I'm talking over someone. So Barbara Anderson also knew from birth another person. His name is Alan Fernbacher. I think I'm saying his last name right, but I become friends with his daughter, who's thankfully not a Jehovah's Witness, after he committed suicide last year also. And so I just want to say that we need to remember also those who have been, of course, like in the chat maybe, a long time away from the Watchtower. I've been lucky to be free and disfellowshipped and, you know, away from all of it for so long. But you would think that someone like Alan, who is known as, I guess, like worldwide one of the earliest apostates, I hate using the term that way, but, you know, good guy with wonderful writing and has done so much for freedom for others. But last year, he committed suicide due to, you know, marriage and things like that. And so just thank you very much. Your names aren't on the screen anymore. I think it was Fran and Joe. So thank you very much for doing what you're doing right now, because, you know, I just want people to know that once you're free from the Watchtower, you're not necessarily free from the emotional violence, the shunning, and the rest that they've done to us.
I totally...
I'm on the phone. I'd like to chime in if I could.
Can I just ask, was that Angela that we were just talking with?
Yeah, that was Angela. That was Angela. We do have another man. Go ahead, sir. Come on. Let us know what you're thinking about. Yep.
Yeah. Hi, Rick. Hi, Rick. Thank you. Yeah, going under the name of Dr. Richmond here. First of all, I just want to say Eric Wilson had a good video, and he pointed out something the other day that said about Armageddon. You know, who really says that anybody's going to die at Armageddon? It just says there's a war between kings or kings of the earth. It doesn't say anything about a worldwide, you know, genocide or something. But I just want to relate a story. We had, first of all, I'm so happy I'm getting on the program here. Thank you so much. We had an elder's wife commit suicide. And what happened was their son was shunned. She couldn't talk to her son, and she was so depressed. And then she stopped going to meetings, and we'd ask, you know, where's Sister So-and-so? Oh, she's really depressed, and, you know, she's home. And this was pre-COVID, by the way. And so anyways, we just never saw her at the meetings, and all of a sudden we heard, well, she passed away. And nobody knew, like, how she passed away, what happened, right? But then later on, word got around, she hung herself, committed suicide. Because her son was shunned and she couldn't talk to her son. Then we had another sister in the congregation who blew her brains out with a gun because she was shunned by her grandchildren and everything. She smoked cigarettes and she couldn't stop smoking. And eventually she was disfellowshipped for smoking. And so this person was so terrible for smoking cigarettes that people couldn't even talk to her anymore. And she was shunned so bad and felt so bad that years later, she just blew her brains out with a gun. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. See, the sooner the general public the sooner
Not the first
general.
time, yeah.
Yeah, and
The
I
most
just want to mention
common-
one more thing. Yeah, I just have one more thing to say. You know, they go, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses obviously use that scripture. I think it's in, Second John or something, 16 or whatever it is, where it says, if anyone does not bring this teaching with them, you know, don't say hello to them. Don't, you know, that's the one that they use, right? But if you really analyze that teaching, I mean, what it says there in that scripture, it says, if anyone does not bring this teaching with them, well, what is the teaching? If you go back in history, you'll see that there was the Gnostics were a group going around making false claims, saying that Jesus did not die in the flesh, and so that was the false teaching. So if anyone does not bring the teaching that you know, Jesus died in the flesh and everything, don't say hello to them. Those are the ones you're not supposed to say hello to, the false teachers. But Jehovah's Witnesses twist it around, and what they do is there's another scripture. I don't have my Bible in front of me, but there's another scripture just a verse away from that or something, and it says, if anyone does not bring the teachings of Christ with them, you know, to not say hello to them. So, but really what that's referring to, again, are the, you know, this false teaching. But what witnesses do, they twist it around. Oh, they didn't bring the teachings of Christ because they you know, did this or did that or whatever it is, and they didn't follow the teachings of Christ. But if you really want to twist it around, we should shun Jehovah's Witnesses because they don't bring the teachings of Christ. They teach that Jesus is the mediator only for the 144,000. So they don't bring the true teachings of Christ with them. So if you really want to know, at the end of the day, we should be shunning Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, they're the apostates.
Okay, well, listen, I don't want to take up too much time here. Just glad that I was able to call into the program. And Rick, I really appreciate everything you're doing. A really great job here. Dr. Richmond calling from California. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Thank you. Bye now. Bye.
Hi, could I just say something?
We're listening.
Okay, this is Elaine. I have a YouTube channel, JW Escape, and I just wanted to say this for the caller. I can't remember her name. I thought it was Teresa, but I may be wrong. But I just wanted to say that I have a wonderful Facebook page. It's the name is JW Escape, and it has a Christian focus, and we really watch it. I have a team, and we try to watch it, and everybody is. It's just a wonderful page, and I wanted to welcome any of you to join it, JW Escape. And also, I do Bible studies. Everything is free. I just finished a Bible study. It was actually a spiritual abuse workshop with author David Henke. We just had a 6-week workshop. You can go to my website, jwescape.com, to the Bible Studies tab. We recorded it via Zoom, and you can watch it yourself if you wanted to go on Amazon and get the book from David Henke. My point is I have a wonderful community of people. We're growing together, and I'm going to be doing meetups next year for this purpose, is to put people together. I've been without my family for 30 years, so I know what it's like, but I've healed so much in those 30 years because I replaced the lies of Watchtower. I no longer believe that I'm unworthy because those lies have been replaced with the truth from Scripture, and that's what my channel is about. But I just wanted to share that with everybody out there that, listen, this is new beginnings for all of us. There's no looking back. And I have friends all over the world, and they call me sister because they want to, not because they have to. It's a term of endearment now. And just everybody hang in there, because you know what? They're not worth it. And let's no longer allow them to abuse us. We don't have to internalize their lies anymore. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. And thank you, Fran and Joe, for this beautiful work that you're doing. It's so needed. And you guys have come a lot. You've come so far in such a short time that you've been out. And you know what? we're all walking boldly forward in the
Yes.
throne of grace. No more.
Thank you, Elaine.
Yes, we follow you, Elaine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello.
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 Hi. Hi. Yeah, I was just calling in because I've been listening to this program for a while, and I came across this program tonight, and so I just wanted to say that I've experienced the same things as the other callers with the suicide in my family.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My brother committed suicide when he was about 27. And we was raised in this religion. And then his son just committed suicide after he woke up. And he was being shunned because he was speaking out against the witnesses because of all the child abuse and other things. And his wife divorced him, and he was being shunned. And he, that was like, it'll be 3 years in May since he's been gone. And also, I suffered with depression from being raised in this cult. I wasn't allowed to do anything at all in high school or anything, and it's just really messed my life up. And I had a very serious suicide attempt also, but I woke up and I realized it wasn't the truth; it was lies. And now my daughter, she turned me in to the elders, and so she's sending me. So I haven't been able to see my little grandchildren. They're just little, tiny little, a year old and 2 years old. So I've been pretty devastated by all this.
There's so much heartbreak.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. We appreciate you calling and speaking out. We need to hear from you and others. We all need to have a voice in this, because the Watchtower would have us be silent on this, and we surely do not want that. We need to help others, and you calling in, you're helping others.
I guess what I would say too is let our heart break with yours too.
Yes, I don't suffer from depression like I did when I was in, so I'm doing a lot better, and I'm in a Bible study group with some true Christians, and I read the Bible a lot. That's what actually brought me out, is reading. I got a different Bible. Good. And I read it, and so it brought me up out of the indoctrination and the lies.
That's good. That's good you found that.
I'm so happy that I was able to come out of it, because it's.
Yeah, and each additional change that you make will make you stronger too.
And you will help others. You'll help others that have gone through it, because you know what it feels like.
Right.
Thank you.
I don't have anybody around me either that I know of. I don't have any ex-JW friends or anything.
Can we be friends then? It's Angela again. I'm just dying for some more friends. I just don't have anybody, and I've been online virtually for all my life. That was my escape as a young JW, and so I'm just a tech geek. And yeah, I know it's not the same as getting a hug, but we'll pretend that we can all get together after COVID, and we'll make sure those hugs happen. I need it too. Thank you.
Yeah,
so we'll figure out how to connect somehow.
Okay.
Fran and Joe?
Yes.
Hello.
With the caller that was just calling, you know, when my husband first divorced me and I was left devastated, I didn't know what to do. And again, there were not a lot of witnesses around me. So what I did was, as these two people just did, is I had phone friends.
Yeah.
And I had them all over the United States, so there was different, I could stagger the times when I called people. So in my area in New England, if it's 7 o'clock, or if it was, I was in California, at least it would be 3 or 4 hours ahead, and I could always call somebody. There was somebody I could call. So that's one thing that maybe we could do, is make a list of people that want to be phone friends and support each other, because we have to stop this plague on the Watchtower. It should stop with us, because Rick's been doing this for 17 years. It'll be 17 years January 1st.
Wow.
And, we just have to help each other, because like you mentioned, Joe, there's just nothing tailor-made that's going to fit everybody. And we're not just going to plug it in and it's going to work. It's going to have to be, kind of a boots on the ground, grassroots kind of effort.
Yes. Well, it's working right now, as I can see, because friends are linking with friends.
Right.
We just got to keep that going.
But if people would want to share phone numbers, that would be good.
Well, yeah. Would someone want to be like the would Rick or you be like the clearinghouse for it? In other words, because rather than expose them on air, I don't know how you want to do that.
I'll take that on. I'm a tech geek, so I'll take that on. It's Ange here again. So everybody can find me on Twitter as @Ange, or on Facebook, or you can go to Watchtower Documents.
This session is no longer being recorded.
I said something about no longer being recorded.
The recording has started.
It's
And
okay.
now it's
Don't pay attention to that. That's just the.
Okay.
Yep.
Angela.
The man behind the screen.
Angela,
to Watchtower Documents on Facebook. You can comment or message through there, and we can collect phone numbers through Barbara Anderson's Facebook page. So one way or another, we can get this going. And so I volunteered to be the central place there. I really should start using my cell phone for something other than texting.
There you go. Okay, I just followed you, Angela, so you'll see us there.
So, Angela, just to make it clear, so how are we going to make this happen? So you're going to be like a clearinghouse for people calling in with their suicidal problems. How would you like to set that up?
Oh, I think we were saying that we wanted to be friends so that we don't commit suicide. And so anybody who's interested in joining anybody you want to call when you need to have a phone call, reach out through either Watchtower Documents on Facebook and send a message through that. Or Fran and Joe might have another suggestion there. I see there's laughing, but I don't know what's going on. And then, or either to me personally, which I can be found on Twitter as Ange, I think is the easiest way. I'm also on Facebook also, but I just don't look at that often.
So what name should they get into in Facebook? What's the name?
Watchtower Documents.
Watchtower. Okay, fine. So
We're
get
not
into
just
Watchtower
get a phone.
Documents, and you can talk to, Angela.
Angela and Rick.
And then we will make sure that there's suicide resources for suicide, because we would never get in the way of professional services in that case.
No, that's not what we're here for.
That's a good point, Angela. Rick had it up on the screen. If they now have the suicide crisis support is 988. And everyone should put that in their phone under suicide in case they run into someone. I've got it in my phone. It's 988.
Yeah, Angela, this is the guy from Southwest Florida. I too would like to have a phone friend too. Rick may be able to provide it for you, plus my email too. I too have been feeling lonely. I do have autism, Asperger's too, living in Southwest Florida, and I do need somebody I can confide in too. I want to reach out to you too, Angela.
I can't wait. I'm sure Rick knows who you are, as you said, and so he'll connect us, I'm certain.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no sorries. And by the way, autism is a wonderful trait in my family.
Yeah. Rick would have this number that I am calling from, plus my email too.
then no name necessary. We'll make sure that the connection happens. Else, I'll see you here next week.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, for anyone listening,
Thank you, Fran and Joe. Who knew I would make friends like this?
well, we knew.
That's what it's all
Yes,
about.
we're willing to give our phone number. We're more than willing to put our phone number out now if anyone would like to ever contact us.
I would very much appreciate that.
Okay.
I do tend to isolate myself.
Oh, say again, Guy. Say again, Guy.
I do tend to isolate myself in my bedroom. Right now, I'm with you guys.
Well, the phone helps open us up.
That's
so
right.
let's do that.
Right.
So, Rick, is Rick there? Well, we'd like to. I would more than happy to give our phone number, and then go from there. Even maybe mine.
You don't always know.
It's a lot of phones.
As long as it's up to you.
Yeah, our phone is accessible.
I appreciate.
Either I don't know. I can just recite it right now if someone wants to listen.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. Okay. 315.
315.
221.
221.
01. 30.
30. Okay.
You
That's
can
it.
call, you can text. We're in Central
Yes,
New York.
Central New York.
So right now it's 11:20 p.m. But we're still up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. For where I live, my area code is 239-458-8396. And this is only the house. I look forward to hearing from you from there.
And
Yeah.
again, sorry, I was up. What's your
23? This is the house phone. It's 239-458-8396.
Any special times?
Thank you. I have it. And Rick will make sure to delete all of these phone numbers off of the recording for us.
I appreciate that.
Guy, did you say that that's a home number? Guy, is that a home number or a cell number?
Oh, this is the house. This is landline.
Okay, so we don't text. Okay, we will call.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah, call us when you need to too, Guy.
I will do that.
It's so good to connect. See, what we're going to be doing, the letter that some of you may have heard, the letter that we're sending, it goes out to the elders, but it's also going to go out to anyone and everyone else. It's a general letter for everyone. And what it's going to do is open up conversation with people that we never would otherwise be open to. I really don't know what it's going to do, but we're going to find out. It needs to be done. More people need to know and need to start talking about things that they don't usually talk about.
Well, Fran and Joe, I have to tell you, really, I mean, you guys have brought a lot of people in tonight. People have been calling in from all over the world, and they're really excited or at least concerned about what's going on in the Watchtower with suicides. My goodness, it's amazing. We heard from so many people tonight. I think it was just unbelievable. What do you guys think?
I think it was great.
I'm
We
very
were glad.
grateful.
Very
We're
thankful.
Very grateful.
Yeah. So we're going to keep moving in this direction. And maybe what we'll do with you and Fran, Joe, is kind of make you our suicide researchers. I mean, you seem to do a good job with this.
Yeah, we
you
will.
know,
Yeah.
and that seems to be something that you would like to do. So maybe we can bring you on and do more special programs like this and get more and more people to call in, which they did tonight. I'm amazed. I'm just sitting here watching the computer screen.
Well, Rick, I appreciate that. What we will do is seek to find others who are more qualified as well.
And professionals. And also, too, the other part of it is what we can do.
Yeah.
As far as, even like what we did for Thanksgiving is went to the rescue mission and helped serve meals. It makes you feel good to do things like that. So maybe people have other ideas than what they do.
Well, the good thing is, Fran and Joe, is, we are exposing an evil organization. And when you leave this organization, you can do things to help humanity.
That's right.
When you're a Jehovah's Witness, there's no helping of humanity.
No.
I don't know who you're really helping.
No.
I have no idea. But look at you guys. You went down, you served some Thanksgiving dinners. That is an amazing thing. That's a good thing. But as witnesses, no, they don't do any of that. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on. Let's just see if we might have one more. We had so many people calling in. So do we have anyone else that wants to say something? Go ahead.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, to Joe and Fran, I'll say that to talk to Dan and Angela, they even went to Michael Moore's grave, and it was on 6 screens, and they talked about it and everything. But Dan talked to several people that were familiar with JW suicides, and they said it wasn't uncommon. And you might want to connect with Dan and Angela on that.
Yeah, we will do that.
Because it was unbelievable when I heard that. So
yeah,
I guess that's all I got to say, folks. But I respect you and again, Rick Farron, for having this program, and you for being on here.
We're very thankful. Yeah, and we will connect with Dan and Angela. Thank you.
Wow, we've got another caller too. Another caller coming in from 330. Area code 330. Did you want to speak up and say something? You're in the speak zone. 330. You want to say something? You're on with us. All right.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick, it's Dan. Hey, I just want to let you know I listened to the whole show. It was wonderful. It was, what it's supposed to be, like they're trying to do, join people together, heal. We're probably the best therapists. We were told not to trust therapists, and I just want to say, hang on one second. I don't believe any of us were expected to live when we came out of Watchtower. And I'll tell you why I say that. Because Watchtower are abusive slave owners and they're programmers. And we were programmed to self-destruct. And evidence of that they're wicked, evil slave owners, is Tony Moore's comment. Won't you be glad when they're all dead?
So true.
That is a wicked bastard slave owner. And you know what? They programmed us and they sentenced us to death. And that's what happened to Michael. He was abandoned. He was orphaned. What happens when you're abandoned? Equals suicide. What happens when you're shunned for years? You're shunned to death. What happens when you're rejected in quarantine and put in the back of a kingdom hall for years? Suicide. What happens when you're rejected by Jehovah? You've failed the Almighty God. Suicide. What happens when they attack your character and turn your wife and kids against you? Suicide. What do you have to live for? If your kids are against you, your wife's against you, the organization, you're abandoned, these are programs, they're death sentences, and it's a miracle we all survived. And I'm glad we have here to come to share our stories with each other and heal, and we're a miracle. We are all a miracle. And here's the thing. You said, what can we do early on in your show? Is have a voice. And the more we have a voice, the clearer we get, and the more powerful we get, and the more poignant we get. And I think a voice is a powerful thing. So I'm just glad. I heard so many new people tonight speaking up for the first time. That one lady asking everyone to become her friend, so loving, inviting everybody in. I know a whole lot of desperate people out there. And I just traveled coast to coast, and I can tell you, the witnesses are probably the most loving. Those who have left are probably the most loving bunch of people. Those who have overcome, got back up on their feet. And it's all because of shows and things like this. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dan.
Well, we got people on YouTube that are asking for your telephone number, Joe and Fran. But what I'll do, if you want Fran and Joe's telephone number, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com, and I'll send you the number. Write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. I'll give you Fran and Joe's telephone number, and you'll be able to contact them directly. You guys are a big hit here tonight. Yeah.
Just
Did you want to?
Yeah, Rick, just a point. I mean, we could write our phone number on a card and hold it up to the screen, unless you think otherwise.
Well, did you want to give your number? I mean,
not against it.
Yeah, we did already, but we're not against it.
Yeah, hold one second.
Okay. I thought you did that, but if you want to give your telephone number, that's okay. That's okay. So if you want to contact Fran and Joe, they're going to give you the number right now. So just hold on 1 second. They'll give you the number. But a lot of people calling in tonight is amazing. A lot of new ones as well. So we're going to get Fran and Joe's telephone number. And all you have to do is call them, and they'll be able to talk with you. And I mean, really, we're so pleased that we have so many people wanting to even host programs here on the Six Screens. It's wonderful that they want to do that. So just give us a second or so, and we get Joe trying to find the number. But we have more programs coming up here tonight on the Six Screens. By all means, we have After the Storm with our good friend Gail. She'll be coming up next. And she'll be having a program here. And also Pasta Babe. She's coming up. And then probably about an hour and a half or so, she'll be with us. Somewhere probably around now 12:30, 1 o'clock, somewhere around there.
Got it.
So we're looking forward to that. You got the number, friend?
Right there.
There it is. Okay, 315-221-0130. 315-221-0130. That's the number if you want to get a hold of Fran and Joe. That's the number to call, and they'll be glad to entertain you and listen to you and see what you have to say. Thank you, guys. All right.
Thank you.
Well, you did a great job tonight. We're very proud of you. And my goodness, I have to tell you something. Well, what I look at here, I mean, I'm in the control room, and I can see what's going on. We have 7 computers running. We're on 10 different platforms. But what I see here, what I always look for, how I can always tell a good program is what I call retention rate. Now, the retention rate is people who are listening in the beginning and are listening in at the end. Your attention rate was 97%.
Wow.
That's very, very high. I mean, retention rate. So you touched people, Fran and Joe.
It's an important subject. It really is.
It really was. I didn't realize it was. I mean, I know it's important, but boy, I'll tell you what, it was just amazingly unbelievable the amount of people that were calling in. So thank you very much for doing your program, doing your research. We appreciate your efforts. And don't you guys ever give in, up or out. We're all proud of Fran and Joe. Thank you very much.
Proud of all you folks, all our friends.
Yes, thank you for being our friends.
All right. Well, now we're going to go to another program. Well, that's Fran and Joe. You got to love those guys, right? I mean, they're just normal people. They're just trying to educate you on what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, we have got another program coming up here very shortly. We have got Gail coming in from Houston, Texas. She's a former Jehovah's Witness, and she does a program called After the Storm. So by all means, if you're listening in on this YouTube channel, Facebook, or wherever you might be, just come back in just a couple of minutes, and we'll have their program up. I want to thank everyone tonight for coming in and calling into the program with Fran and Joe. Amazing. Thank you, guys. You really made a difference, and you're helping so many people. So you just keep standing tall, and appreciate all the activities and all the different comments you guys made tonight on YouTube as well, Facebook, and all the different platforms. Thank you for doing that. We really appreciate it. So if you're on Facebook, share what you heard tonight. This can help people. On YouTube, give us a subscription. Give us a like. This can get the wheels of progress moving. More and more people can listen in. The algorithms will kick in, and more witnesses, just like we heard here tonight, will be coming in to the 6 screens. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Check in about 2 minutes. We'll be right back with our program right here on YouTube, Facebook, and the other platforms. Thank you very much. All right, we end